Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today we want to share with you this video. I think it's one of the most important videos that we posted until now because there is a really huge, big update about the process of Italian citizenship by descent, the application for Italian citizenship by Jure Sanguinis. And it's a big news, but at the same time is not a good news, it's a bad news. So I want to share with you this. I will explain you what happened and how we can predict the future, the forecast for the future for all the application for Italian citizenship by descent to the court. So this is Marco Bersani as always from the Bersani of Firm&Partners from Italy, an Italian immigration law from the expertise on Italian dual citizenship application. So do not lose any more time and let's start. So as I said in the introduction, today there is a really huge news. It's not a good news, it's we can say a bad news, but I want to go a little deeper with you. I want to explain you what happened and so how this new precedent can affect the future of the application for Italian citizenship by descent. All the cases, not just for the court, but also potentially through the consulate. So what happened? First of all, I want to talk a little bit about the so-called minor cases because this precedent, this ruling from the Cassazione Court was specifically for the so-called minor cases. So I don't know if you read something about the minor cases or if you maybe didn't watch the past videos that we did about the recent updates. So I want to explain a little bit about the minor cases. So what is the minor case and how to deal with the so-called minor cases. We have a minor case when we have an Italian ancestor, for example, your grandfather. We have an Italian ancestor. The Italian ancestor, born in Italy, immigrated to another country, for example, United States. Then he had a child, your father, for example, in the US. And after that, when your father was still a minor, your grandfather naturalized as an American citizen. So what happened? We have a grandfather, immigrated, had a child, and then he naturalized when your father, for example, was 3 years old. So he was a minor. These are the so-called minor cases. In the past, those cases were not relevant because by basic rule, by the ordinary rule, the ordinary principle, you are eligible for Italian citizenship Jure Sanguinis as long as you have an Italian ancestor and the Italian ancestor naturalized after the birth of the next line of the child. So it's not a problem if the Italian ancestor naturalized when the child was an adult or was a minor. Recently, things changed a little bit. We don't know why they started to make new interpretation, but a few courts from Rome, like 1 year ago, they started to make new interpretations. And with new interpretation, what happened? They say, no, we want to make a new interpretation between the old ruling, the old law 555 of the year 1912, which regulated the Italian citizenship by the descent at that time, and we don't apply the article that was applied until now, so the Article 7 of the law, but we will apply the Article 12. And the Article 12 says that if there is a minor who is living together with the Italian parent and the Italian parent naturalized, then the minor was affected if as I said, the minor was sharing the same address, the same residence, so living together with the naturalized parent, then also the minor was affected. This new interpretation, of course, opened a new war because, for sure, this interpretation, in our opinion, our personal opinion, professional opinion, this interpretation is not correct. And indeed, there were, after those ruling of last year, there were, a few new verdicts and new sentences from new court that says no, so if there is a naturalization, this is not a problem because the relevant moment is when the child was born. Indeed, those cases from Rome were appealed and the Court of Appeal says yes, this interpretation is wrong. And we think it's the correct way to proceed. But recently, in June of 2023, so very recently, the Court of Cassazione make a specific ruling. The Court of Cassazione in Italy is particularly relevant, is important court, because it's the highest court that you can find. You can find, in the judicial system, you have the Tribunal, the Court of Appeal, and the Supreme Court of Cassazione. So what the Supreme Court of Cassazione is pretty relevant. And what the Court of Cassazione said, one of the cases, for the minor cases, were brought to the applicants that were rejected by the tribunal, were then brought to the Court of Cassazione. And the Court of Cassazione said, yes, the minor case is correct. We need to apply the Article 12. So the Court of Cassazione say that if you have a minor and the minor was living with Italian parents and the Italian parents naturalized as an American citizen when the child was still a minor, then the minor was automatically affected by the naturalization, so the decision of the father in this example. As you may understand, this is a really game changer and it's very bad news. It's bad news because potentially, and I say potentially, it may affect future application. Right now, we don't know how this precedent will be applied and if will be applied, because it's not mandatory that what the Cassazione said will be automatically applied to by the whole court. This is just a section of the Court of Cassazione. The Court of Cassazione is composed by many sections, and it's not uncommon that different sections make different rulings. So there is a contrast between the precedent. But it's very important for you to know this situation, to know this update, because right now, if you want to check your eligibility, you can say, yes, I am eligible, but I know there is the risk that other judges will apply this ruling and will say, yes, I agree with this ruling, and so will apply with this ruling. As I said, it's not mandatory, but for the moment, there is this risk. So the minor cases right now are today in July 2023 are a risk for the application that we have to keep in mind, and we have to count with this situation. It doesn't mean that your case will be automatically refused or denied. It doesn't mean that. As I said, there are other precedents from the Court of Cassazione, for example, that say other things. So, as you understand, this situation is really particular. We are in a really particular moment where the application for Italian citizenship by descent are, kind of say, under attack, but many things are involved. So, many courts are involved into the process, also because many people are filing lawsuits against the ministry. So, there's a really huge focus about the application for citizenship by descent. So, for the moment, you have to keep in mind that there is this risk that you have to keep in mind when you want to start your process. Of course, we will keep you updated if there are more precedents, more positive news about that. So, we will keep you updated. So, continue to follow us and subscribe, of course, to the YouTube channel, so we will receive all the updates, all the news. For the moment, what we can suggest is that it's very important that you make a eligibility check. For the moment, we can say that your case is still eligible, also there is this precedent. Also because right now, all cases are approved by the Italian consulate, so if you have the same lineage with a child that was naturalized, that the child had a parent that naturalized, the consulate approved, of course, these cases, and other courts approved these cases. So, as I said, it doesn't mean that from this moment you can apply. You can apply, but you have to keep in mind that there is this precedent exists, and we cannot ignore that this precedent exists. So we have to face that if you have, in the past, you had around 90% of chances to success, right now, you can have success, but you have to keep in mind that potentially you have to appeal your case if you face a denial. That's very, very important. Of course, we will do, every time we do, if you will contact us, the team will always do a free eligibility check on your case. So we will check your situation, your family tree. So we will check what are your chances, what are your strategies. The strategies that we apply for your application. So we will try the best. We will try to find the best way for you to apply for citizenship by descent. So for any other questions, something you want to ask, feel free to contact us through the contact form. You can contact us through the website, the contact form, for asking questions, something you want to ask, or a free eligibility check. or also you can book a consultation, which is always recommended because we cannot, for sure here on social media, we cannot do consultations. So if you have specific questions, we cannot reply to your comments. If you ask a legal question or something like that, we cannot provide legal consultation here on social media. So we need to analyze your case. As always, thank you so much for your time and see you on the next videos.